So, how do you have conversations that are challenging when you do not know how it will be received? You assume good intent, you find the common ground, you make sure you're going to give something tangible for the person to attach to, and you talk about it with the desired outcome in mind. I'm Dr. V. Boykin, a former single mom, stripper, felon, now a doctor, keynote speaker, and author of Fix Your Face and Watch Your Tone. Women Know It's Needed. I help marginalized communities achieve a more equitable personal and professional experience. As we come to the end of the year and the start of the new year, many of us engage in self-reflection. Many of us are also asked by our companies to give upwards feedback. Sometimes that's to our manager or even our skip level, our manager's manager. What a tricky time. Let's dive into how to do this in the most effective way. Most of us will feel compelled and want to give accurate, honest, constructive feedback. Not all of us are ready to receive accurate, honest, and constructive feedback. For example, there was a time in my career where I noticed some things within the team that I felt might not be as equitable as they could be, or that raised eyebrows a little bit. It was not a time to celebrate. I don't know how that happened. Raised eyebrows a little bit. It was not. I noticed some inequities on the team, and I felt compelled, go me, to raise this to senior leadership. And I did not know how it would be received. In fact, I was pretty concerned about it. So I was in a conversation with my skip level as well as my frontline manager. And the question was asked, or a statement was made like, well, you feel comfortable and you understand what's going on in the team. And in that moment, I was like, oh, here we go. This is where the rubber meets the road. So, how do you have conversations that are challenging when you do not know how it will be received? The first thing is check in and make sure that the feedback you're about to give is accurate, not just in terms of how you feel, but also can you quantify it in any way? Can you point to specific situations and scenarios so the person has an opportunity to do self reflection in a way that's grounded down into something they can also identify with? Because if it's just how you feel, that may be more of a reflection of what's going on with you than what is actually going on with them. Not always, but sometimes. So check in with how you are feeling and check in to make sure you can actually point to some specific scenarios when you're giving this feedback. The second thing is, once you determine that you have some backup, you have something you can point to, you really need to think about, is it worth it? Is what you're going to share going to create enough of a difference that you should broach the subject? For example, maybe you're upset, and I'm sure we're much more serious minded than this, but maybe you're upset that there's no longer fruit in the cafeteria or in the lunchroom, right? Or that a $20 work from home stipend has been removed. Is that worth it? Is that, and only you know, but is that worth this being the time that you stand on principle and that you confront something challenging? If it's worth it, let's move forward. If it's not, maybe you take a moment to go for a walk or meditate. The third thing I would say is think about what you want the change to be and deliver your feedback in a way that guides the person towards the path that you most desire. So if I want to talk about the fact that I think we don't have enough women on our team, my desired outcome would be that we hired more women. And I almost said more qualified women, but why do we even need to make that disclaimer? What other kind of employee would you hire? So we hire more women. So I might start that discussion saying, hey, I would like to discuss something with you. And this might be a conversation where I don't get all the words right, but I really want to share with you what I'm seeing. So those three things are critically important when you go into the conversation. The fourth thing, and this is what I want to spend a bit of time on, is you have to set the terms of the conversation. So you want to start off with what we can agree on. You're about to talk about some differences. You're about to share some information that might be tough to hear. So what can you agree on? I usually start conversations with something like, you know, I would like to have a challenging conversation with you. And what I don't want is this to be something that turns into blame or something that turns into some nefarious intent conversation, because I think we both want the same outcome. I think we want to have the most incredible team possible. Would you agree? Great. I've noticed that we don't have as much diversity as we once had, specifically when it comes to women. In fact, I've seen 4 women depart the team in the last 18 months. Now, I understand there's probably individual reasons for all of those, and I don't want to get into the why. But I would like to point out that it doesn't feel right. And it feels like they might be exiting quicker than other segments that we have, other groups that we have. And I'd love to be part of fixing that trend, reversing it, or maybe adding in to the leadership options so that we can chart a path forward that really feels as inclusive as it did 5 months ago. That's a conversation where you've said, this is what I've seen. Here's some facts with it. This is how I'm feeling. This is why it's not beneficial. This is the outcome that I'd like. And by the way, I'm on the team in this. I'm not sharpshooting from the side. So it is really tough to deliver up-level feedback. I'd suggest that you think about it. You plan it out using the 4 steps we just talked about. And it's always great if you can bring a sponsor into that conversation in a non-threatening way. Maybe you have somebody that is your frontline supervisor and you're delivering this to your skip level and you bring them along. Maybe it's somebody that works in one of your ERG groups that already has a good relationship with the person you're giving that feedback to. Sometimes you may have to go it alone. If you do have to have that conversation alone, make sure you send that follow-up email to make sure there's no misunderstandings. Make sure that email again restates the common ground. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate the fact that you are willing to have a challenging conversation and help me stumble through that. I'm glad that you acknowledged that, yeah, we've seen some numbers of people departing the team that feel a little monolithic. And thanks so much for creating space for me to be part of the solution as we workshop this together. That's the type of employee that continues to build a positive brand while still speaking their mind and sharing their truth in a way that's professional and productive. And it doesn't attack anyone because it's not a battle. Many times it truly is an oversight. Many times there's other things going on. Very few times is it actually somebody sitting back and saying, gee, how can I be sexist, racist, or biased today? So you assume good intent. You find the common ground. You make sure you're going to give something tangible for the person to attach to, and you talk about it with the desired outcome in mind. I'd love to hear how it goes for you. Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you liked or learned from this content, please subscribe or comment below and be part of spreading the word and helping my channel grow.